Fast quorum. Ooh. Shall we open the meeting?
How'd that feel there, Bruce?
Yeah.
Well, I've lost enough, it probably is.
Is there a motion to approve the agenda as written or any corrections or additions to the agenda? None? Aye. How about the minutes as written? Motion to approve the minutes? Aye. We've gone down to operating reports, which is very interesting. General operations.
Item one about the bridge work on Blue Ridge 350 Highway. Went to a ribbon cutting ceremony yesterday, and they had quite a few people, representatives of different congressmen and state representatives there. And MoDOT announced that they should be ready to open up the traffic by either late tonight or Wednesday morning. It'll be open at least 2 lanes of it, if not complete. It looked like they were putting finishing touches on the walkway. We haven't had any appreciable response differences because of the closure.
Yeah.
We did have a couple of calls that we needed the route underneath that bridge to respond into Kansas City. I did get a hold of, the representative from ISO did call me. And we will start the evaluation on December 14th and continue in through the December 17th, weather permitting. We're aware of it. Water District 2 is aware of it. I hadn't had any communications from Raytown Water Company about getting their information filled out and passed along to me. I've heard that Water District 2 is complete or almost complete. Do you know anything?
It's complete, I have it on my list. He's gonna, there was some, didn't understand one section that said, how many hydrants have we had flow testing for in the last year?
Okay.
Didn't realize that anytime we put in a sprinkler, and those are the tests they're talking about. So he's gotta tweak that number just a little bit, he didn't count those into it.
Okay, I need to get a hold of all of the different jurisdictions and let them know the dates for that. Item number 3 is pretty lengthy and has to do with the radios and the radio towers. We have a need to make a decision on that. Radio towers themselves is the highest priority, is that they have raised the rates on us so that they're out of reach. So everybody that's on that tower now is working with Communico to move our equipment to what is our backup tower. And as we do that, then there won't be a backup tower. And the current tower we're on, as well as the backup tower, does not have a automatic generator or a generator period. So
There's a report also that was handed out this morning from Bill in regards to that matter.
right.
It wasn't in your packet.
It was in everybody's pictures.
Not mine.
Because you picked yours up early.
Okay.
So that is one part of the larger problem. The larger problem I explained is the radios themselves and trying to move towards getting ourselves, at least the district, compliant with the FCC regulations and standards. We're underway about that. We've had several meetings about that. You've approved money. We've got that batch of radios in, and we have general fund money available that we're going to work as much as we can. It still leaves even a majority of our radios that need to be addressed to get ready for it. Then the third part of all this is dispatching. And that is closely tied to the Kansas City system and us choosing to go with the city of Raytown, the city of Grandview, and all the others that are on the current tower to move completely off of the city system and move to Kansas City. That doesn't have anything to do with dispatching, but it sure would help if we could kill 2 birds with 1 stone. We have not entered into any negotiations with them, but we will have to make a decision shortly. I
He's
believe
requested that we make a decision today.
He's
requesting information to.
more or less that on the tower charges.
Yes.
I don't think that we can make a decision to move this quickly I think the decision is going to rely upon us to sign a contract, and maybe if we can renegotiate that contract down to 1 year so that we give us some breathing room time. If we do move, there is a cost savings of about $24,000, but we don't know if
It's
that's,
divided among everybody, that's what Bill told me.
yeah. But we don't know if that's going to be adequate. That new tower is, I forget how many feet shorter than the one that we're currently on. The radio system relies upon line of sight from the tower to the radio in the field. And if it's shorter, then we have more chances of having dead zones for us to reach that. So the supervisor of Raytown PD is, once he gets the radios programmed, he's going to issue those out to the field officers, and they're going to start testing for dead zones.
You say the new radio tower has no backup electricity?
Neither one of them does.
Either one?
Yeah.
That's
And
bad.
so, and then on top of the choice of moving to the first choice of towers, is that it doesn't have the power, the electricity available there. It's in need of an additional 100 amp service. So any cost associated with that is going to be relayed to everybody else. This is the poorest timing of all this that we can imagine. Not to mention that Motorola and Comenco are fighting over microchips to put in their portables and their mobiles to make those radios P25 compliant. They're saying, one saying we can do it, the other one saying you're not going to get the chips, we're going to do it, which then adds on more cost to the provider, to the users, because they have to take their radios offline, pack them up and ship them to Minnesota, and then wait for them to fix the radios and ship them back. And then it's put another batch in. So it's a time-consuming process, and nobody's moving off the dead center. Okay, moving on. Item 4 is pretty self-explanatory. I don't know what the manpower issue was over there, but the director did show up after we sent one of our firefighters over there to drive the ambulance, and I guess he worked the rest of the shift. It was my intentions to send somebody over there right away as soon as we found out. But we had somebody go on personal time, and that dropped us down to minimum staffing. We had to wait for that guy to come back on duty to ship firefighter Kuhn over there. And it should be mentioned that firefighter Kuhn was a Raytown EMS employee, former employee, so he was familiar with the ambulances in the city and knows how to drive. Item 5, loggers convention. The election is complete. I got the reservations already made, and I just finished a phone call just now, setting up direct billing with both the loggers convention and the Career Fire Districts Association that Bob's going to go to, set up direct billing for that. Bob asked if the local was interested in going to the Career Fire Protection Districts Conference in September 24th, and I talked with Jeremy and he said they'd probably pass on it this time. We have, the local and myself has started a negotiation process. We've sat down at least once. We got interrupted on a call. We've talked about it on several different shift occasions and generalities. And we're going to work with, as a work session, we'll go through the contract a bit at a time until we come to a clean break, and we need to bring in Chief Hunley for the administration side, and their Secretary Treasurer is Brett Lemons, and that way we can have a full group for negotiations. I don't know where you want to sit in on this particular process or not, but I think things will probably go smooth. The locals leadership on C-Shift has told me there's very little in the way of changes that they wanted to make.
Just whenever you.
Most of it is just administrative and grammatical.
I'll just leave it up to you to tell me if you'd like me to be there.
Okay. Yeah, we haven't forgot you. We do need
Okay.
you.
Okay, thanks, no.
We did get Brent Davis's issue back, and Bonnie's been working getting his paperwork started as needed. And then the last bit is to inform you that the auto accident that Chief Mace was involved in during the winter went through the court system. He appealed and then had to go through the Department of Revenue in the appeals process, and they told him that he needed to pay the damages and loss.
The gentleman that hit me, let's clarify that.
Pardon?
The gentleman that hit me lost.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Say
We'll make
what
that, make that clear, as everybody here except Mike is probably aware of what happened, but,
But he did not pay, had not paid.
I don't know, we received that, anybody from any source?
Well, you post a bond with the state.
Yeah, well,
And
we
then-
haven't received any revenue at all.
Right, and we submitted to our insurance, didn't we? Yes, we did.
Yeah,
All the letters have been submitted.
so he's under suspension,
Right.
and if he doesn't pay by September 28th, then the vehicle registration, different owner, not the driver, also gets put under suspension for 1
Just
year.
stays, yeah.
So, that's pretty much it. There's just some minor things that went on, and some special thank yous need to be issued out to some of the citizens and churches in town that recognized us on September 11th. They asked us to participate, and Mike's crew went over to the mayor's church over at First Christian Church on the Boulevard, and they thanked us.
First
and-
Methodist.
No, it's Raytown Christian.
Raytown Christian, we'll get it right. I mean, we've got 2 churches per square mile in Raytown. I don't know if you knew that or not. It's most churches in any part of the city.
We even had some Kansas City churches donate food to us.
Yeah, a lot of people came up, just drove up to the station and dropped stuff off. And one of the ones that probably touched me the most was an elderly couple pulled up, standing out in the truck room. And this lady couldn't hardly get out of the car. She did, and she managed to get to the back door, and I greeted her, and she handed me 2 roses. I said, "This is our way of thanking you for your service." And I said, "Thank you very much." She says, "These 2 roses represent the 2 towers," and then she started crying. I lost it. So she made a special effort. And if I could. That's all.
Any questions?
Do we need to do, Bill did ask for
Yes, he did.
direction on this. What do we need to do?
Well, I think we do need to make a decision. At least to start, like you said, start exploring the cost association of the transition.
I think he
That should include the city of Kansas City. He's been in contact with their communications supervisors that have been out here several times and talking about that. Earlier this year, they said that they did have capabilities of putting us on their system. We didn't talk about money. They said they had X amount of spaces available to them. Well, now that all of this stuff has literally hit the fan, everybody is trying to scramble to find these things. One of the things that you should know up front, and Bill told me this and it about floored me, we cannot afford to go on a system by ourselves. But I brought that up and said, we got a great tower here that probably hit 99% of all of the city. He said, the problem with that is the channels. He said, one channel alone costs $500,000. That's just for the licensing. That's not the equipment. So
Well, I think we should move that he give him permission to go ahead and start the, exploring the costs associated with it. Is that all right with you, Bruce? Yeah.
Well, if we can do anything with Kansas City, that's the route to go.
Well, we still have 154-370.
But we don't have but 1 or 2 radios on that band. They let them go as they broke.
Right.
So
But I mean, that's still, worst case, we could,
Buy all new radios. and
Bill has done a good job of maintaining our licensure on that frequency, so it is.
I got telephone
and
cell
then
phones,
we
too.
got mobiles that can switch over to that band. We don't have any but 1 or 2. So, yeah,
I was going to explore the options.
Yes.
Is that what we should say?
Yes.
yes.
Motion. Thank you. Any questions?
I want to commend Bill. I mean, he has been on top of this and has talked his ear off, or talked other people's ears off on trying to get some resolution to this. And he's met with people at Cominco numerous times. And talked with James Bradford over at Drake County PD, and we're scratching their heads too. So we're all in this together. And we have to make a decision right now. It's even pointing toward the city of Raytown moving their radio equipment onto the Kansas City Tower if there's space and allow us to do that. And we'll go from here and find out if there's going to be any cost to do that.
We'll keep us posted on it.
Wrong thing at the wrong time.
Response times.
Reports as submitted.
And basically, we didn't see much of a lack of response because of the closure of the bridges. Unless you had a call right there.
Didn't notice much impact at all.
Training.
I submitted a written report, sir. I have going to be pretty busy over the next few months with the different things going on with the contract and with the ISO review and with what else did I put on there?
Well, driver training, we're going to go through a special class where he's going to be his training trainer. He and Bill Shostall are going to go to Columbia. And Captain Bauer is going to deliver a refresher class. It's all going to be needing to be coordinated between that and regular EMS CEUs.
I did coordinate that. CEUs are, the SCBA class is going to be this week, CEUs will be next week, so that's been taken care of. We'll have another training class in October. I'm working on that. I've been off quite a bit here just recently, so because of a personal issue that I think most people are aware of. But, I'm back now and working on things, so I expect to be very busy for the next 120 days.
See, we mentioned autumn. I see we have possibility of first frost Thursday. Did you hear that on the radio this morning?
I did not.
Frost Thursday morning?
I'm looking forward to it. I did want to thank the local for the nice arrangement that they sent to the mom service. So thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.
EMS training.
Captain Helfer submitted a report. Short and sweet.
We're on track with EMS training. We have we're scheduled next year for a review, an audit. So I have been working on making sure that our record keeping is up to standard for that audit. So we should be in good shape for that. I redirected all the EMS instructors last month on the how to document the training that occurs for CEUs. And I actually have seen that change occur since I sent that message out to those people. So I think we'll be positioned well for that audit next year.
I got a discussion with Ty Helfrey, speaking of EMS and CEUs and so forth. Ty has gone down in the basement and inventoried our old life pack stuff. He sent you an email.
I saw that, yeah.
See that? the old defibrillators that we had, the monitors and so forth over the years have accumulated, and they are no longer in a functioning state, or are they applicable to current EMS training? So he asked me if he could research the possibilities of putting those on the open market. Part of the problem lies within that monitors and defibrillators are a regulated item through the FDA. And to sell that, we need to be really careful about who we sell it to. And I asked Ty to send Roger a couple of the waiver statements about that there are others that are selling those even on eBay. So it would protect us and say that this is as is, we have no return policy, no guarantee, you accept all liabilities, etc. But I don't know how strong that
I don't
verbiage
either.
is.
I looked at them, I was a little uncomfortable with them, which he probably was too, and that's why he asked me.
Yeah.
Like, there were about 5 examples, but it was really about 3 ways. 3 of them were about the same, and they used the phrase, I will, use this I in there, I don't know if you noticed that. Like, so I wondered who had written, where this word came from.
There's about 250 of our type of defibrillators on eBay currently, and he just went through and pulled up
Yeah.
5 of them that had those disclaimers on it.
So,
He says the total value of them is probably in the neighborhood of $2,500 of all the equipment that we have. These are so outdated.
well, you want me to send him a note, don't you?
Yeah,
That's what I
just
figured.
let him know about
Can you write us a
that,
good one?
and
I'm gonna,
tell him to keep searching it.
no, I was just gonna comment to him on him and, figure something out within that language. And do it.
Buildings and grounds.
Throwing some where to's and forthwith.
It's you.
That's right.
So,
Well, Chief Davis is no longer with us, so there is not a report. We've had several different issues of minor nature come up. We got a door damaged this last week, and the crews on duty that happened to tried to get the thing repaired as much as they could without injuring themselves or doing further damage. Waited until Monday morning to call in the garage door repair people, so it saved us an emergency cost. And it's back in service. I don't know how much the bill is.
About 180, 150, 180, yeah.
Yeah. We had, one small part, the bottom gasket. So,
they were able to straighten it out, pretty much.
I haven't seen it, yeah. I haven't seen
yeah, so other than that, there hasn't been any major issues. We are going to be coming to a point in time where we're going to see different parts of the station that is going to need money to repair it. I don't know what the current status of those line item accounts are, but just viewing this station and seeing that there are light ballasts going out in large groups, that's going to be kind of a costly repair. I went out to number 2 station this morning before the house fire, and the same thing's happening out there as well.
What is it?
The ballast and the fluorescent lights are starting to go out, and they're burning the bulbs out much quicker. And those are very expensive.
I have those. I've been meaning to talk to Corey Brenton about it, just passing, but it seems like the lights that we retroed that have the motion sensors that are on and off constantly, for some reason we're going through ballast on them, 4 or 5 times a year. And I'm not sure if there's a ballast rated for that, or if it's just something we put in there that's not rated.
But whenever you cycle those fluorescent fixtures, it's,
Right, but with all the going green motion switches that are in the market, I would think there's something that's.
no, it's not a matter of the motion switch, it's just a matter of cycling those fixtures. If you cycle something more frequently on a fluorescent fixture, it'll destroy the ballast a lot quicker than if you turn it on, leave it on all day long. It's the cycling up and
I think
cycling down.
Matt's point is there a ballast that is rated for that versus just a regular everyday?
I don't know. I don't know about that.
Did you research that for me?
I can't do it.
Okay.
I noticed in here, this truck, we're getting a little moisture in the
I-
sitting up there.
I think most of that's old.
They've been here for a while.
Yeah, when they first built the station, they had a problem with condensation on some of the ductwork, and they got that resolved shortly after we got in here, and some of this happened like right after we got in here.
We don't know if we've got the water leaks at number 2 station addressed or not. They've been out several different times. We've got 2 heavy rains earlier in August, and it's going to flood everything, but it was very noticeable in 2 different areas of Station 2. It continues to destroy a ceiling tile, and we report it. They come out and we try to chase it down. I think we've had it fixed properly since we moved in.
Fire prevention.
As submitted, Mr. President. You'll see that Fire Prevention Week is about a month away.
Nest equipment maintenance.
Oh,
Equipment maintenance.
We'll catch up.
Just finish with that.
okay, Fire Prevention Week is a month away. We have our materials from the National Fire Safety Council to distribute. We'll get those out the week before. In addition to that, we plan on holding an open house on the 15th, which is Saturday at Station 1 again. This year I've talked to the city, we're going to get an ad on Channel 7. Pretty sure that Raytown Online could probably get us an ad on there as well. And planning on sending handouts with the books to the schools, trying to get our attendance up. We had a light attendance last year, but those who came had a good time. CPR in the high school, it's sad to say that we had to discontinue that this year. We had some issues last year, as you'll recall, in the spring with some students and their attitudes or lack of participation. We met with the school administration last year in May, and all we asked of them was to have a member of administration who could oversee the teachers and the students present while we're there. And we were notified beginning of middle of August, first week of school, that they weren't going to be able to do that and didn't want to continue the program. So
It wasn't costing them anything, was
it wasn't costing them a dime, and it cost us about, probably, not counting overtime, $300 to $400 twice a year. So
I'd say if you include overtime, it's probably a couple $1,000.
at least we did it for 6 years. We would do anywhere from 300 to 500 kids a day.
But it was, I felt like it was well worth it.
It was well worth it. We had those last time we had about a dozen students, 2 of which tried to engage us in fighting because they just didn't want to be there. Belligerent. I mean, I've never had a grown man yell at me the way I yelled with these kids. And asked the teacher, and he said, I can't make them do it either. And that was, and we finished the day and met with the school afterwards. And it's unfortunate. Hopefully we can get it worked out next year, go back to what we were doing.
Is question. The school response is there a hard copy of that?
I was just notified by the staff that we wouldn't be scheduling anything this year.
One of the things that I know that is set up through the school district is that they have assigned problem children to South, and they have other problem children that are of medical nature to Raytown High School, so they don't have both. Have we tried to approach Raytown High School with the same, so we get away from the attitude?
I've not.
You might want to do that. I don't want to give up on them, even though they're difficult to work with. We could still provide the service if they'll be open to that idea.
We were just hoping to get at least one decision maker in the room.
Yeah.
What's the plan review at 5828 Maywood? That's residential.
No, that's a telephone building.
Right.
Oh,
It's the AT&T
Oh,
Switch
yeah.
Center. They're doing a couple $100,000 for renovations.
Any other questions? Did we finish equipment maintenance?
No, they haven't started.
We need to go back.
Report submitted.
Yes, sir.
Back to spending money again.
Basically, we ran all the trucks through oil changes and pump testing at Conrad's. All trucks passed the pump tests. We are monitoring a few issues that Conrad's had found that they wanted us to be aware of. We're going to be changing the oil in the transfer case on a couple, differential rear end on another. The biggest thing right now we have going on is ladder 2 waterway is out of service. The water seals were found and they've blown out of the nozzle.
Are they within reach so we don't have to send it back to the factory to pull the turntable?
Yeah, last time it happened was in 2003, and we spent $3,600 to have those put in. I imagine it's gonna be a little bit more expensive this time.
We'll fix it,
We had some pressure problems too. So,
On the pressure?
Yeah.
No?
It's problems with the radiator. Radiator cap.
Yeah, radiator cap. Radiator cap is missing on one of the trucks. So we're picking one up for us.
any more questions? We'll move on to part discussion of the VC position. Chief?
We had discussed Chief Davis's position last meeting, and it was my impression that we would continue this discussion until you all gave me some directions on what we were going to do. Part of that direction was to include how much money we currently are using or saving to fill his position the way we are. Currently, the 3 day chiefs, myself, Assistant Chief Flannery, and Chief Mace are filling those shift positions once every 3rd month. I'm the duty chief for C shift for the rest of September, and we'll do it again in December. Chief Flannery went back and did some research on what the effect is financially to the district that we're using this program. He went and listed from the 1st of the year all the way through August 31st. And the cost that was associated to this, either an off-duty chief coming in and working overtime for that because we couldn't fill it with a captain's position, or the captain was eligible and we had sufficient manpower to step him up. Once we did that, then there was an additional step up of somebody filling that captain's spot and somebody in the firefighter slot filling the driver's slot. Altogether, in 2/3 of the year, we've spent $4,909, and we've saved. You subtract that from his salary. That's how much we've saved doing that.
But it's not.
It's been helpful, and but it's not the end result that I want to see. I think we do need to seriously consider filling his position. The question is when. We can continue to do this process through the end of the year, or we can continue to do that through all of next year till after we get through the election, or we can fill it now.
What do you think, Bruce?
Well, my personal opinion, I would prefer to wait till after the election. Because if that doesn't pass, folks, we got some serious problems gonna have to be dealt with very severely, and to bring somebody in the tank, chief, and then turn around a year from now and lay it off, that ain't right either.
Yeah.
I think
agree.
we ought to hold fast till after the
I
election.
agree. I think that it's financially responsible thing to do when the economy is in such a way that it is, that to go to the general public and ask for money after you've spent money to fill a position or to add to any benefits or wages to the rest of the department is something we need to follow. We need to be very responsible in doing that. So we've done everything that we possibly can to reduce our expenditures, be responsible to the general public, and we are working short. We've cut back in every different way that we possibly can so far in the years since we got hit with this, and we'll continue to do so until the general public feels that they can financially support our operations the way it is. Now, that being said, we also have something that's tied to that, and that is still the pending question of when. when do we go to do that? And if it does get passed, the first one, then the problem is pretty much solved. We can continue until we get that money, which would probably be January 1st of 2013. It was passed this year. If not, then we start looking at contracting positions. Run the election again and see if they do it. If they still say no, then we'll have to deal with that.
Well, I think we need to go in April to the issue.
Okay, well, I need to be getting on the stick about that. So we're looking at the calendar, and the first date of filing to do the April election is December 13th.
Does the city have anything planned on something like that in April?
Any money issues at all?
Well, I think we ought to make a final decision when Bob is here, all three board members ought to decide. My personal feeling is we ought to do it in April.
Okay.
But I feel I'd be feel more.
But we have to file by December 13th.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Bob will be back.
Oh, yeah. Well, he'll be missing. Oh, the next meeting is the 27th. He'll be down Springfield the 27th?
Loggers is in October.
Yeah,
October.
but
Okay.
he'll
that's
be
September.
in,
He may be in
in
Jefferson City or Boonville.
no, it's Logic
Logic
Four
Four
Seasons.
Seasons.
Yeah. That was, I think that was in October.
No, it's the fire district meeting is
September 24th.
September 24th.
Well,
24th, it's a 3-day thing.
he'll be back in town in between, if nothing else. We got it through. We can come up here one day and hash it out. It won't take that much. We can stop by with some donuts and coffee and get it worked out. It's no big deal. But I just feel more comfortable that all three board members are here when the decision is
Well,
made.
will he be here in the first meeting in October?
Should be.
We don't know. He can cancel with short notice, as he has done a couple of times. I think he just had to leave to go to the funeral or something like that. But, okay, I think I understand the portion of that is that we'll at least continue to operate the way we have until after the election. With hopefully, we can talk about that later, but hopefully anything that we are down now, positions, training, all the other divisions, as well as looking at the local for anything that they want to put into the contract, so we're negotiating that now too. Then we can address it after and if the election passes. Okay.
Schedule it.
Okay, well, that gives me a little bit clearer decision on what we're gonna do as far as getting the budget submitted. I'm working on that now, and budget documents are gonna be going out to all of the people that help me with that.
No new business. Sheriff Booth for adjournment.
That's what we'll
Okay. Roger, if we just came up here as a board without one getting paid, just the three of us, and sit down and talk about this,
No.
we can't do that.
No.
It's called open meetings, sunshine.
So we'd have
I
to,
used to be able to do that back when you were mayor, but you can't do it
I used to
anymore.
every Sunday night, man.
Just scheduled as a special meeting.